Thylacoleo is an extinct genus of carnivorous marsupials that lived in Australia from the late Pliocene to the late Pleistocene. Some of these marsupial lions were the largest mammalian predators in Australia of that time, with Thylacoleo carnifex approaching the weight of a small lion. The estimated average weight for the species ranges from 101 to 130 kg. Description: pound for pound, Thylacoleo carnifex had the strongest bite of any mammal species living or extinct. A T. carnifex weighing 101 kg had a bite comparable to that of a 250 kg African lion, and research suggests that Thylacoleo could hunt and take prey much larger than itself. Larger animals it may have hunted include Diprotodon spp. And giant kangaroos. It seems improbable that Thylacoleo could achieve as high a bite force as a modern-day lion. However, this may have been possible when taking into consideration the size of its brain and skull. Carnivores usually have rather large brains when compared to marsupials, which lessens the amount of bone that can be devoted to enhancing bite force. Thylacoleo, however, is thought to have had substantially stronger muscle attachments and therefore a smaller brain. Canids possessed elongated skulls, while cats tend to possess foreshortened ones. The similarities between cat morphology and that of Thylacoleo indicates that although it was a marsupial, biologically it possessed greater similarities to cats, and as a result had a higher capacity for bite strength than animals within its own phyla. It also had extremely strong forelimbs, with retractable, cat-like claws, a trait previously unseen in marsupials. Thylacoleo also possessed enormous hooded claws set on large semi-opposable thumbs, which were used to capture and disembowel prey. The long muscular tail was similar to that of a kangaroo. Specialized tailbones called chevrons allowed the animal to tripod itself and freed the front legs for slashing and grasping. Its strong forelimbs, retracting claws, and incredibly powerful jaws mean it may have been possible for Thylacoleo to climb trees and perhaps to carry carcasses to keep the kill for itself. Due to its unique predatory morphology, scientists repeatedly claim Thylacoleo to be the most specialized mammalian carnivore of all time. Thylacoleo had vertical shearing, carnassial, cheek teeth that are relatively larger than in any other mammalian carnivore. Thylacoleo was clearly derived from the Diprotodontan ancestry due to the pronounced development of upper and lower third premolars which functioned extreme carnassials with complementary reduction in the molar teeth row. They also had canines, but they served little purpose as they were stubby and not very sharp. Thylacoleo was 71 cm at the shoulder and about 114 cm long from head to tail. The species T. carnifex is the largest, and skulls indicate they averaged 101 to 130 kg, and individuals reaching 124 to 160 kg were common, and the largest weight was of 128 to 164 kg. Fully grown, Thylacoleo carnifex would have been close to the same size as a jaguar. Behavior: while considered a powerful hunter and a fierce predator, many today would assert that due to its physiology Thylacoleo was in fact a slow runner, limiting its ability to chase prey. More recently, a couple of sources have proposed that this beast might have been arboreal, but an analysis of its scapula suggests walking and trotting, rather than climbing. The pelvis similarly agrees with that of ambulators and cursors. These bones indicate that Thylacoleo was a slow to medium-paced runner, which is likely to mean it was an ambush predator that fits with the stripes. Camouflage of the kind you need for stalking and hiding in a largely forested habitat rather than chasing across open spaces. Quote, New evidence also suggests that it may have been arboreal, and was at the very least capable of climbing trees. At the site at Lancefield, many bones have been excavated and have been discovered to be a part of an estimated several 100,000 diverse individuals. Some of those bones had strange cuts on the surfaces. Automatically, it was assumed that two explanations have occurred. Marks were produced by prehistoric humans during butchering or by the teeth of Thylacoleo carnifex. Through archaeological and paleoecological findings, researchers concluded that the T. carnifex had caused all the cut marks. Because of the large size, the population had to feed on other species just as large as their own just to avoid an imbalance in their diets. They may have killed by using the front claws as either stabbing weapons or as a way to grab the prey with strangulation or suffocation. Probable habitat and diet. One major feature of Thylacoleo is its dentition. It had no canines in the lower jaw, only small, non-functional canines in the upper jaw. Quote, "It may have carnivorous diet because lack of the grinding teeth, so it may not be possible to incorporate plant into the diet." According to the place where the fossils were discovered, the habitat may have been dry, open areas with forests and woodlands. Kangaroos belong to a large, mostly herbivorous Australasian marsupial clade termed Diprotodontia. Shared characters that unite diprotodontines include Diprotodonti, a special epitympanic wing of the squamosal bone in the brain case, and the presence of an extra band of fibers that connect the two hemispheres of the brain. The monophyly of Diprotodontia is also well supported by molecular characters, and indicates that Thylacoleo carnifex may have shared ancestry with wombats and kangaroos, which are generally believed to have been herbivores. Its shared bloodline meant that while its predecessors were herbivorous, the transfer to Australia by rafting, and the lack of adequate sustenance may have led to them evolving to becoming carnivores, which is an unprecedented occurrence. While it is now thought that T. carnifex was indeed a carnivore, its diet and behavior have been intensely debated. In addition to an early description as a herbivore, the species has been speculatively portrayed as a consumer of crocodile eggs, a hyena-like scavenger, a melon specialist, a leopard-like predator that dragged prey into trees, a slow to medium-paced runner incapable of climbing, a terrestrial version of a cookie-cutter shark, a raider of kangaroo pouch, and a bear-like super-predator. Extinction. It was believed that the extinction was due to the climate changes, but human activities as an extinction driver is still possible yet unproven. There is a growing consensus that the extinction of the megafauna was caused by progressive drying starting about 700,000 years ago. It is revealed recently that there was a major change in glacial interglacial cycles after 450 Ca. As for human involvement's contribution to the extinction, one argument is that the arrival of humans was coincident with the disappearance of all the extinct megafauna. It is supported by the claims that during MAS3, climatic conditions are relatively stable and no major climate change would cause the mass extinction of megafauna including Thylacoleo. Due to the lack of data, the human role in the extinction cannot be proved, although believed to have been killed by climate change. Some scientists now believe that Thylacoleo to have been killed by humans destroying the ecosystem with fire in addition to hunting its prey. They found spores, which grow in herbivore dung, virtually disappeared around 41,000 years ago, a time when no known climate transformation was taking place. At the same time, the incidence of fire increased, as shown by a steep rise in charcoal fragments. It appears that humans, who arrived in Australia around this time, hunted the megafauna to extinction. Following the extinction of T. carnifex, no other apex mammalian predators has taken the place after the disappearance. Discoveries. The first evidence for the existence of Thylacoleo came from some material collected in the early 1830s from the Wellington Valley region, New South Wales by Major Thomas Mitchell. Quote, however, it was not confirmed to be teeth from Thylacoleo at the time and further details were not given. The existence was first described by Sir Richard Owen in 1859. In 2002, 8 remarkably complete skeletons of T. carnifex were discovered in a limestone cave under Nullarbor Plain, where the animals fell through a narrow opening in the plain above. Based on the placement of the skeletons, at least some survived the fall, only to die of thirst and starvation. In 2008, rock art depicting what is thought to be a Thylacoleo was discovered on the northwestern coast of the Kimberley. However, there is the possibility that the Pliocene, a related marsupial which also had a striped coat, may be the subject of the work. Instead, the drawing represented only the second example of megafauna depicted by the indigenous inhabitants of Australia. The image contains details that would otherwise have remained only conjecture. The tail is depicted with a tufted tip. It has pointed ears rather than rounded, and the coat is striped. The prominence of the a feature rarely shown in other animal images of the region, raises the possibility that the creature may have been a nocturnal hunter. In 2009, a second image was found that depicts a Thylacoleo interacting with a hunter who is in the act of spearing or fending the animal off with a multiple barbed spear. Much smaller and less detailed than the 2008 find, it may depict a Thylacine, but the comparative size indicates a Thylacoleo is more likely, meaning that it is possible that Thylacoleo was extant until more recently than previously thought. In 2016, trace fossils in Tight Entrance Cave were identified as being the scratch marks of a Thylacoleo. Fossils. The first Thylacoleo fossil findings, discovered by Thomas Mitchell and described by Richard Owen, consisted of broken teeth, jaws, and skulls. It was not until 100 years later, 1966, that the first nearly complete skeleton was found. The only pieces missing were a foot and tail. Currently, the Nullarbor Plain of West Australia remains to be the greatest finding site. These fossils now reside at the Australian Museum. It was reported that in 2012, an accumulation of vertebrate trace and body fossils were found in the Victorian volcanic plains in southeastern Australia. It was founded that Thylacoleo was the only species that represented 3 divergent fossil records: skeletal, footprints, and bite marks. What this suggests is that these large carnivores had behavioral characteristics that could have increased the likelihood of the presence being detected within a fossil fauna. A characteristic seen in the remains of skull fragments is a set of carnassial teeth, suggesting the carnivorous habits of Thylacoleo. Tooth fossils of the Thylacoleo exhibit specific degrees of erosion which are credited to the utility of the carnassial teeth remains as they were used for hunting and consuming prey in a prehistoric Australia teeming with other megafauna. The specialization found in the dental history of the marsupial indicates its status in the predatory hierarchy in which it existed. According to fossil records, T. carnifex is the largest known marsupial carnivore from the Australian Pleistocene. Using data collected from the most complete skeleton record available, researchers have been able to estimate the weight of the specimen to have been between 112 to 143 kg. In examining other specimens, it is estimated that the largest individual from the available sample weighed over 160 kg, though the estimated average weight of T. carnifex lies between 101 to 130 kg. Taxonomy. Family. Thylacoleo. Thylacoleo marsupial lion alludes to the superficial resemblance to the placental lion and its ecological niche as a large predator. Thylacoleo is not related to the modern lion Panthera genus, Thylacoleo, Australia's marsupial lions, that lived from about 2 million years ago, during the late Pliocene, and became extinct about 30,000 years ago, during the late Pleistocene epoch. Thylacoleo carnifex, the holotype fossil, was found in Town Cave in South Australia, in Pleistocene age at strata. Additional possible specimens have been found at the Bow fossil site by students and staff of the University of New South Wales in 1979. Thylacoleo crassidentatus lived during the Pliocene, around 5 million years ago, and was about the size of a large dog. Its fossils have been found in southeastern Queensland. Thylacoleo hilly lived during the Pliocene and was half the size of T. crassidentatus. Fossils of other representatives of Thylacoleo, such as Probable and Wackleo, date back to the later Oligocene, some 24 million years.